Thank you very much for being here today. I'm super excited, very honored and grateful for the opportunity to be part of the BeautyMatter community and the obviously the flagship and landmark Future 50 event. I'm super excited to set the scene today for spectacular lineup of discussions and really take you through some insights in terms of the evolving dimensions of beauty and wellness. Okay, so this screen is not showing. Okay, that's fine. Through kind of looking at the underlying forces behind some of these dynamics, the business implications and manifestations, I hope this presentation really serves as a inspiration for unlocking some opportunities for investment, for partnerships, and for key investment areas that really can truly add a unique element to the value proposition in an increasingly expanding and diversifying beauty and wellness landscape. So, as you heard, I'm Irina Barbalova, Global Lead of Health and Beauty, Euromonitor International. Euromonitor International is a leading strategic market intelligence provider. So we empower big and small companies with insights, data, and custom solutions in their competitive benchmarking strategies, innovation, and growth strategies for business. So, what we'll look at today is some bigger picture context in terms of the industry dynamics. We'll take a look at some of the key supply and demand drivers behind that performance and state of play, and really look at three key important high priority areas for investment which are differentiating that value proposition, and some food for thought and business actions for you to take away. Okay, so let's look at and deep dive in the numbers. Beauty reached 570 billion into 2023. It was a spectacular performance of just over 9%, driven really by both the premium and mass segment. So this outpaced growth of 7% in 2022. And what is interesting is that when we look in real terms, because this is in current nominal terms, in real terms, growth actually went up from 0 to 3%, which means and indicates a subsiding inflationary impact. A lot of the dynamics behind the positive performance in 23 was really upward consumption rather than price-driven increases and sales growth. So this is how the picture looks in terms of premium and mass. So premium and mass grew almost equally high, and none of them cannibalizing each other, which meant that consumption was spread out across a multiple price tier portfolio, meaning private label dupes down to luxury and very super premium branded products. As you can see, premium's growth was higher, but mass still dominates the market with over a third of sales overall beauty and personal care sales. What is going to drive the mass segment 15 billion extra value add in the next 5 years will be largely within the mass skincare segment. And this is held within Asia, because Asia's skincare market is still very heavily mass dominated. On the other hand, when we look at premium growth, which is just over 30 billion there, this will come from premium fragrances, and Western Europe and Asia combined will contribute 1/3 of that overall value in premium beauty. A bit of a busy chart there, but this is pretty much the spectrum of categories we cover. This goes beyond beauty, but also to personal care categories. Obviously, skincare dominated in 23 and added the highest gains to the overall beauty segment. What drove skincare? Heightened demand for dermacosmetics, a lot of premiumization in the body care sector, and also a shift towards products with multifunctionality, SPF and cross-border influences across categories too. Color and fragrance, were second highest in terms of gains, and color was very much influenced, just like hair care, from skinification trends and a lot of adoption of some of those benefits. Fragrances, however, stood out with a double-digit performance in 23. What was behind that? Unisex and premium fragrances, all in all. Big alignment with wellness and a transition to a more ritual-centric consumption, which meant consumers are seeking to build a fragrance wardrobe to match certain moods and occasions. And what stood out more specifically for fragrances was China. China's fragrance market doubled since 2018, so increased twofold, and is increasing its penetration further, something that stands out for the industry quite significantly because previously fragrance was a very small category in China. So consumers there seem to be looking for those niche or so-called salon scents, like Documents that you will hear from later, like To Summer, really looking to identify with more culturally embedded values and identify with a culturally embedded persona rather than really looking to identify with fragrance, with the particular sense or the profile of the fragrance. Looking at top countries, these are the top 10 markets for 2028. So US, China, and Brazil will continue to lead those top 10 markets. Really, US grew quite well last year with double-digit premium growth, in contrast to the UK, which is still grappling with some lingering cost of living crisis, and where actually premium decelerated from 2022 a little bit. Some other highlights include Mexico, which jumped up in growth, and this will make it go up the rankings. Another highlight is South Korea, that's going to replace Italy as the top 10 market in 2028, really driven by sustained and massive appetite for luxury beauty. India grew double-digit across the board, across all categories almost, and one of the highlights there were obviously makeup and a huge penetration and growth in the e-com sector. So this is some of the numbers. Let's look at what's behind those dynamics. Okay, I'll let you read that. I'm a huge fan of New Yorker. I mean, it seems like appropriate here. I think it was kind of tempting to add this and in view of the topic of today, and really to give a humorous nod, to some of the evolving consumer habits and shifts in values. What is happening? Consumers are inundated with product choice. Out there, it was difficult to choose, right? Overwhelmed with information, overwhelmed with technology, and the burden of information at their hands. Post-pandemic, consumers started looking for more streamlined consumption routines, really favoring quality over quantity, experience over product, and looking for regaining some of the control that was disrupted by the pandemic. So really that mental resilience. So all of these shifts are really naturally pointing to brands having to streamline some of those routines, simplify, and make them more experiential, as well as give that efficacy that's required from a product performance perspective. And not to forget, really instill that mental and emotional support that will give consumers some of that power to regain the semblance of control in an increasingly chaotic world. So, nice cartoon. It fits perfectly. New Yorker always lends well to any topic. So what's behind some of those big macro drivers? Well, wellness, for one, is starting to penetrate consumer lifestyles. That's kind of all-pervasive now, and a lot of new technologies and digitalization is enabling high precision in prevention, monitoring. It also is allowing tech-enabled wellness and self-driven, data-driven self-enhancement. On the other hand, consumers are looking for products that celebrate diversity, stand for inclusivity, and really target underserved, previously taboo areas like mental health, sexual wellness, and more importantly, women's health. And experience and loyalty. So the next generation loyalty really lies in experiential rewards. We know that digitalization and tech will enable a lot of those experiences for loyalty, but really the human element, the emotional connections, the empathy, and the community building will equally drive that customer loyalty. Well, wellness is proliferating, and what's behind some of that proliferation in a rapidly expanding wellness-oriented portfolio is really the multiple dimensions and perceptions of consumers' attitude towards health. These are starting to be aligned more with that of the mind, as much, if not higher, with that of the body. So stating preferences around mental well-being, emotional well-being, feeling good, higher priority as those related to physical health, appearance, endurance, and physical resilience. So what does that mean in terms of opportunities? Well, it really allows for a more blended approach in need-state positioning, but also what it is that it's creating a lot of challenges in creating multiple products across all these dimensions and an inundated consumer, which is hard to build the retention with all the products around, right? Wellness can be quite elusive, and it's important to define some of those really specific spaces. So in terms of self-care, investment in self-care is really not new. It's certainly accelerated post-pandemic. But what is new is how consumers are doing it. So consumers are looking for smarter, more effective, and hassle-free ways to optimize their health and enhance their appearance. More invasive approaches like biohacking, GLP-1, aesthetic surgery, and a lot of these new, more kind of invasive concepts are really have the prerequisite of more tech and digital adoption. And AI and digitalization, on the other hand, is really allowing for the distillation of vast amounts of data that are allowing personalization to a certain scale. And certainly in beauty, we know that smarter diagnostics and personalized solutions are wide-ranging. So what's the outcome of these, though? The outcome really is that the next level of taking personalization to the next level would be about more precise outcome monitoring and more result-driven, science-backed credentials, right? And it is really those higher science-backed credentials, evidence-based claims that are really substantiating some of those higher price points. They're more sought after and really are coming under greater scrutiny among consumers. Medical endorsement too, really resonating with some of those health-oriented new values. So in the case of some of those simpler personalization solutions enabled through AI and digitalization, which are less driven in science and medicine, some of that trade-off in terms of higher price would come in consumers sharing personal data. And it's interesting that among some of our surveys, we identified that nearly 50% of digitally engaged consumers are willing to share data with the brand online in exchange for personalized experiences. Okay, so how are businesses responding? Well, businesses responding on both ends of the spectrum. Instilling a lot of science, research, and dedicated efforts to secure technology patents to stay competitive. And on the other hand, also enhancing that consumer experience, which is very much central to some of those consumer-centric, commerce-related strategies. And again, Voice of the Industry survey that we carried out among industry professionals certainly identified enhancing that experience and making that experience consistent across channels as major commerce-related strategies. Obviously, driving acquisition and retention, right? So, a little bit of a different format here on my slide. Right, so in the realm of tech adoption, as you will see here, you know, this ranges from AI to robotics to 3D printing, different tech adoption among businesses. But AI clearly stands out as the most impactful. So a third of respondents really shared that AI has impacted their business, and nearly half are committing to adopting AI in the next 5 years. So from a generative AI perspective, this is kind of emerging, right? And beauty industry respondents are a little bit more conservative in adoption of generative AI, but certainly this is becoming not an option anymore, right? It's facilitating business decisions, inventory management, supply chain logistics, enhancing the consumer experience, also very much adding to flexibility in price adjustment. So this will continue to be utilized across the board in the coming years. Okay, so from a from an innovation and product launch perspective, what is business response? Well, we're looking at greater focus on new formulations and new ingredients over anything else. Sustainable packaging comes second. Two major reasons for this. One, we talked about the pervasive wellness movement and its blurred perceptions. That's one. And also the focus on health-oriented and solution-oriented products. So unfortunately, skin pathologies, hair concerns, these are growing. And so is consumers' preoccupation with prevention and treating those. So these two things really allow for, as we said, a more blended ingredient mix. So adapting formulations to target psychological and physical interrelations, and also, as we know, ingredient-led beauty. So really focusing on hero ingredients that identify with those health pursuits and driving education around hero-centric formulations, hero ingredient-centric formulations to facilitate those health pursuits. Okay, so we saw some of those dynamics. So let's see how these are put into action and some of those three key high priority areas that businesses should be looking out for in terms of greatest impact. On one hand, we have the opportunity to elevate propositions to factor in more emotive benefit expressions, not just function, but emotion. So what I'd like to call function to emotion. Secondly, it's really about recognizing the evolving health, wellness, and longevity pursuits, and the need to make those superior performance and most optimized and hassle-free. And thirdly, embracing the opportunity around, from an inclusivity standpoint, embracing the opportunity of the burgeoning sector of women's health, which very much means not only through the commercialization and profitability lens, but also in terms of raising awareness, in terms of driving education, and also driving a purpose-driven corporate stance. So the prioritization of mental health and emotional health really drives those opportunities for emotive benefit expression. So we saw earlier, this means more functional ingredients and formulations that really associate with those mental emotional need states. So mood enhancement, sleep, de-stress, mindfulness. We've seen that starting to blend into a lot of the products out there. In particular for fragrances, this has played a huge role because of functional fragrances being something that is becoming more pronounced. From a digital and tech perspective, we're seeing technologies evolve, enabled to track and recognize emotion. What we call emotion analytics. And a lot of that is enabling not just tailoring certain products to match certain emotions, but also creating technology that is aiding emotive therapy and mental support. So scientific research as well, going into a lot of concepts like neuroscience and psychodermatology. These things are serving as an extra level to build on that function to emotion pillar. And a couple of examples here, I'm sure you all probably familiar with. A few years back, L'Oréal partnered with neurotech company Emotive to bring the first ever device into its Yves Saint Laurent stores to enhance that in-store experience by personalizing towards mood and in particular neural responses to fragrances. And second example here is the US brand Self-Made that is utilizing and grounding its proposition into the concept of psychodermatology, featuring a hero ingredient called Cortinhib, which is clinically proven to reduce cortisol levels. So really very much endorsing reduction of stress levels to enhance skin health. So from in the context of that tech and digital adoption that we saw earlier, obviously this is enabling very advanced and high-level diagnostics and personalizations. Personalization is a very wide-ranging concept. It can vary from curation down to really bespoke solutions that are based on biology, unique biology, and genetics. Those kind of very superior personalized concepts are still very much in niche. So really, the complexity and the cost associated with very high precision skin hair diagnostics is proving to be a challenge. So in a lot of those cases where we need to elevate credibility and that personalized solution, sometimes this can come in the form of really having that human level medical endorsement and expertise and input from product development to marketing to guidance and education as well. So we've seen also huge amount of R&D investment in terms of microbiome science. We know that skin microbiome is quite underdeveloped territory compared to gut health and gut microbiome. And also the next level of developments will be in cellular regenerative science and longevity partnerships. We've seen L'Oréal partner invest in Timeline, and more recently Beiersdorf announced its partnership with Rudebo, which is developing groundbreaking anti-aging solution based on their know-how on cellular senescence. So a couple of examples here again. Sequential Skin might be familiar with the company, a biotech company that has made a lot of big strides in the microbiome space, and it wasn't a surprise to see Galinate partner with Sequential Skin to advance some of its science backing and product development, and some of that credibility, extra credibility. It's a skin patch-based technology, which allows for providing skin characteristic based on analysis of skin bacteria diversity. So taking this to the next level, though, that expertise and know-how of sequential skin on genetics and epigenetics combined with skin diagnostics could really elevate that personalized proposition even further. But we know, credibility can come in much simpler forms. And I wasn't aware, but recently, Dr. Shah, a certified dermatologist, the #1 TikTok derm doctor, came up to my attention, and it's an interesting concept, right? You can educate, create that personalization and credibility through content, and we know that a lot of that helped some of the dynamics in the dermacosmetic space. CeraVe being one case in point, and the derm endorsement that it saw on social. The digital preachings of Dr. Shah, unsurprisingly, came to a product launch called Remedy, and the Remedy website features a skin encyclopedia, really raising that awareness and education around ingredients, also providing tutorials, linked to tutorials, and advice, dermatological advice. So finally, last but not least, really embracing the opportunity in women's health. So women's health, hugely underfunded, under-researched, underserved so far. The conversation around women's health is accelerating, driven by a lot of attention from business, medical, and government, which means really is about those business implications that are growing, and not just in the medical field, but in the consumer products and services domain, affecting multiple industry sectors like apparel, femtech, health, beauty, nutrition, supplements. A massive opportunity for business to commercialize on that. One area, immediate area for beauty is really understanding some of those skin, hair, hormonal imbalances and what skin hair outcomes they produce, in terms of how you adapt the ingredient mix, in terms of how you position, market products. This is an immediate kind of adjacent territory to be explored. As we know, sexual wellness, another kind of more aligned, beauty-aligned adjacency, and we've seen that proliferating already among beauty shelves in Ulta and Sephora, sexual and intimate care as well. What's important, though, is not really just treating certain issues in isolation, but really considering that across the whole wellness ecosystem. If you see that chart again, menopause, for example, top concern, obviously, among that age group. And similar concerns alongside menopause come around weight, nutrition, digestive health, and sleep. So really adopting that more holistic view really allows for more rounded solutions for women's health propositions. Consumer and femtech brands do not need to solve certain medical conditions. Really, it is about the opportunity also to provide that extra level of education, awareness, and also through a lot of partnerships and tech partnerships. Not immediately easy for beauty brands to step into that area, but we've seen a lot of partnership already, started off by L'Oreal, partnership with Clue, for example. And more of those are coming. Essity, who's a femcare player, they have a Isviva D2C platform dedicated to menopausal care. They partnered recently with a personalized nutrition femtech startup that to provide a very designated regimen for sleep and stress. So saliva-based, diagnostics to determine cortisol levels, supplements, and an app for tracking symptoms and monitoring to get personalized coaching, advice, and clinical access to clinical practitioners as well. And hot off the press, if nobody's heard yet, maybe only a month ago, Kenvue announced the launch of its Versally platform, again aiming to provide a one-stop shop, end-to-end solution around menopausal care. What's interesting here, it's access to clinicians, it's advice and education, but also product curation. The market around women's health solutions is so fragmented, and it's really about that consolidation moment where this can be happening through retail platforms, through partnerships, through collaboration. Hugely exciting territory to explore. Okay, so as we've seen, a lot of these business dynamics, I hope you will agree that there's a lot of scope to reinvent, innovate, and disrupt in not just traditional spaces, but beyond as well. We are seeing beauty boundaries no more firmed up. They are blurring with health, medical grade interventions, wellness, sexual health, women's health. This is really providing a new landscape to innovate in very uniquely defined, untapped, and more importantly, underserved spaces. So 5 kind of key call to action moments here for you and food for thought to take away. Firstly, building on those immediate adjacencies and synergies, really to ensure these align with existing portfolio and preserve that brand equity. And that's a tough call in such a diverse market. More importantly, though, is really adopting that holistic mindset, targeting all these physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, lifestyle components in one solution. Empowering through education, and not just education, but also kind of endorsing some of those preventive and assistive tools that are ever more personalized to really identify, to help consumers identify some of those uncovered or unknown needs for better adoption and closing that adoption gap. After adoption comes retention, and this is where some of the injection of experiences comes into place. A lot of that, of course, will happen through the adoption of AI and tech, but we shouldn't undermine the importance of the human level element for deeper resonance, emotional empathy, and loyalty. Over and above, really fostering not just optimization, longevity pursuit optimization, but really driving desirability through amplifying social impact that really tackles, wellness disparities, underserved territories, and creates a bigger social influence throughout. I think that's me. Thank you very much.